and the Russian guys and all the rest are becoming worse than the monsters they're fighting. Bitcoin can stop that, not by enabling more power for government, but by disabling crime.
So I think with that, we can segue right into your next talk, which is how code is law or how it isn't law. And we'll have some question time afterwards for that too. Thank you.
So, in the mid-90s, because of Professor Lawrence Lessig, who actually termed all the things that some people like to say that Nick Szabo created. Sorry, it goes back further than that. Code is not law. Code is code. When you think about it, code is a great thing for a lot of Silicon Valley executives to say is an excuse. Recently, Google was sanctioned. They were sanctioned, why? Because of their hiring practices. Their developers said, we hire everyone equally. No one pointed out that their algorithm weighted men higher than women. Because not artificial intelligence, but because a particular programmer who set the algorithm said women can't code. So he weighted them 50% of men. So you had to be twice as good as the average man to get a job at Google. Why? And Google said, artificial intelligence. No, because an asshole set an algorithm to say that women couldn't work at Google. That's artificial intelligence. That is the best artificial intelligence we have. There is no such thing as artificial intelligence. There are machine learning algorithms that act based on human input. Code is not law. Code is an excuse for developers who want power. It is an excuse for those moguls in Silicon Valley to say it's not my fault. When Tesla is testing machines, it's not a machine that makes the decision, it's a human. When they decide, should I plow down 5 people or go into a ditch? A human decides that based on insurance. Artificial intelligence is this global thing that everyone uses as an excuse right now for bad behavior. When Facebook works with Cambridge Analytica and says, it's not my fault, the law says I'm allowed to do it, I don't need to act ethically, that's code is law. Here's the thing, Bitcoin is code. And everyone says, you can't change the code. Wrong. Bitcoin code was first changed by me in 2010 because there were problems. I added things. I changed things. There was a fork in the blockchain. I rolled it back, 1,000 blocks. Everyone seems to forget that little fact. Why? Because they don't want to admit it. It happened. Later, when Gavin did the same thing, everyone wants to say you can't, Bitcoin's immutable, you can't change it. Wrong. Bitcoin is code. Anyone who's worked as an auditor will understand what a worm system is, which is write once, read many. Every single Oracle database out there in American public companies runs as a write once, read many system. Once you actually write a record, you cannot, by law, change it if you're an American company. Sarbanes-Oxley, 302, etc. Set in stone. So, what happens when you make a mistake? Very simple. You add a record saying you screwed up, you made a mistake, and you're going to change it. Bitcoin's immutable that way. You don't roll back the database. You add a record saying the court order said this guy's a criminal, here's where. This was enforced in China, US, France, Britain, Japan, China, dot, 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 and this is why we're changing it. The guy's being arrested, he's in jail, we've seized his Bitcoin. It's a public record saying that that can happen. You know how much it would cost to do that right now? About 800,000 to get across every country, probably cheaper if you didn't have my lawyers. But the reality here is it can be done. You know what happens when an exchange tells you we're not going to implement that change? They go out of business. AML rules, etc. If you are an exchange and you go, screw you, I don't believe in that, you have a choice. You can stop operating, or your senior executives go to jail. Full stop. If you're a miner and your $100 million to $1 billion investment is at risk, you have a choice. You can stop mining and have a very big brick that will enable you to heat up a facility really well, or you can make the change. Miners enforce rules. Rules include AML, rules include seizing assets under proceeds of crime legislation, and rules include KYC. You don't do this, you are seized. Stop listening to the lying assholes who are telling you that this is distributed, you can't do it. They're lying. Every one of them is seeking to act on the fact that they're mostly criminal funded. Binance, 99% of what they do is money laundering. Their average person that goes through their site is involved with child porn, is involved with people smuggling. There's a reason he won't take me to court. I'd love to get him, and I will keep libeling him because truth is a defense. And this is going to stop. We are not going to stand by another decade and allow any cryptocurrency to grow to enable crime. And in that, I'm going to make sure that every regulator knows their power. Because honest people deserve a private system. And Bitcoin can deliver privacy, more private than any banking system ever developed on Earth. Because privacy and anonymity are exact bipolar opposites. Privacy means you know the identities of the people you deal with, but no one else does. That's privacy. Anonymity means no one knows. That's the opposite. So, at the end of the day, code is not law. Law dictates code. If you want something changed, there's no world government. Everyone sits there going, but what if the world government can change my Bitcoin? It can't. We don't have a world government. We will only have a world government when the Americans and the Chinese and the Russians agree on something. It won't be in my lifetime. We will have a world government when the French and the English and the Germans all decide to be great friends and do all the same things. And there won't be any Brexit, and there won't be any silly clown dancers in British Parliament, and no world government. Get over it. It isn't there. Get rid of your tinfoil hats. Regulators are not there to ruin things. Regulators are there to actually help people who are investors. In the 1990s, every single token scam that we see now, also called ICOs, existed. Every one of them. Web IPO, free IPO, MyGo. There were hundreds of free web offerings. There were thousands of utility tokens. Do you know what a utility token is? It's a bus ticket. It's a cinema ticket. You do not go onto an exchange and bid on the price of your cinema ticket. Your cinema ticket will never be worth $1 million. I don't care how good the movie is, no one will ever buy a $1 million utility ticket. Full stop. Utility tickets have sales tax. Full stop. They are goods and services. When you sell something as a pre-sale, which is what a utility is, you pay tax in advance. Every single person saying that you can't do this is basically seeking to be a criminal. If you act outside of the thing to say that I don't pay tax, that's what it is. I don't like tax either. I pay way too much. But I pay my tax. And that's fair. And Bitcoin will enable governments to instantly get sales tax. There won't be any of these scenarios in the future where small vendors are tempted to defraud people. Why? Because you can split payments in Bitcoin. And we can tokenize fiat, we can tokenize yen, we can tokenize US dollars, and we could have people pay their sales tax, their VAT, their whatever else, instantly, straight away to the government. Not an accountant comes in at the end of the year, instantly. Bitcoin will enable governments who want to collect VAT or whatever else to have it at the same time as the company who actually made the sale. That will actually increase revenue for governments. It will make it harder to actually skim and be dishonest. It will get rid of the dishonest players. And that's good for everyone who's honest. Because if you have an organization that is skimming 20% of all the sales, and they're more profitable, and they're competing against you because they're dishonest, that's not fair. We want people basically to be able to act within the law. And then the tax goes down. If everyone pays it, then it goes down. And we can fight it properly. Basically through Parliament, through actual things, not by fraud. And the regimes where we have to be audited become less difficult. Because if it's hard to get away with crime, we don't need so many audits. This is what Bitcoin's really about. Thank you.
Okay, it sounds like let's stand over there so we're in the light here. So it sounds like a lot of this sort of rhetoric of code is law. It's kind of it kind of started with who? Ethereum? Vitalik? Did it start with him or?
He brought it back up. He took Nick Szabo's unreferenced works of Lawrence Lessig and started promoting it. I've had David Jerry actually read a few things from 2 decades ago, such as Timothy Wu and others who were writers back then that no one seems to remember because 20 years seems to be I don't remember anymore in this industry.
So if code isn't law, and we do have to acknowledge that a very big part of the cryptocurrency industry these days only exists on that premise alone. I mean,
so does anyone here think because there was a code algorithm in Google saying that women are worth half as much as men, that should be enforced? That should be law because Google programmed it. Anyone? No.
Here. So if this is something, if this message, hopefully it starts, people start questioning and thinking and doing their own research, and people start sort of analyzing this themselves. How did we, the collective, everybody, the community, the ecosystem, how did we fall down this path so far? I mean, because we have and as much as we, have whatever thoughts about, the Ethereum project as whatever, it is a very large, ecosystem, and people in Ethereum, invested in Ethereum.
It's not a very large ecosystem. It's a very out there populous ecosystem. In the real world of things, it's small. I mean, there are lots of boring things, like EDI is a $14 trillion a year industry.
EDI, it's
electronic data interchange. So logistics programs, whatever else, things like Walmart and others use for tracking all their goods and services.